Okay, so the first major pitfall that we see is individuals and families prioritizing rate of return over a savings rate. Okay, and it's not necessarily, the general public's fault. If you've seen any type of marketing or advertising centered around, these investment companies, they're always promoting, or if you've even talked with another financial advisor and you tell them, look, I'm getting a 6% rate of return, they may say, oh, well, move everything over to us and we can get you an 8% rate of return, right? All the commercials are centered around getting a higher rate of return, but what very few firms and advisors actually talk about is the impact that the savings rate has compared to the rate of return. So prioritizing the savings rate over that rate of return generally will net you so much more money into your investment accounts, if you looked at it over a 30-year span. So that's pitfall number one, is only focusing on the rate of return versus also looking at that savings rate. If you can move both of those up together using, tax advantage strategies, using some debt strategies, anything centered around that, and then also, sure, taking a 6%, getting a 7% or an 8%, and moving that up, that's definitely going to give you the best of both worlds. And so really the second pitfall that we come across is lack of prioritization. A lot of clients, they don't know, a lot of families don't know what to prioritize first. So if you have some credit card debt, if you have some student loan debt, do you tackle that first, or do you start investing and making an income off of that? And there's a lot of strategies built around both of those concepts. But if you this is where those pitfalls start to fall into play, is if you're only looking at that rate of return and not your savings rate, that could lead you to not pay off some bad debt, and you're trying to get a higher rate of return, when in essence, if you did pay the debt off and then that allowed you and it freed up more money for that savings rate, that's going to have a bigger impact on your finances. And again, so they definitely go in order, right? Rate of return over rate of savings. Then we come into that lack of prioritization. Well, if you know where you're trying to get to, then it's going to start helping you prioritize, in your world, because everybody's going to be different. Do we get rid of the debt, or do we start making these investments and putting our cash to use? So again, I can't stress it enough. These definitely go in order, and they get a little more aggressive each time that we go further down into another pitfall. So the third one is very closely related to the second one, and it's basically just disorganization. Okay, if you're anything like a normal working family, you've got the savings account, you've got the checking account, you've got your credit card accounts, you've got your Amazon accounts, you have all of these accounts, you've got your electric bill, your mortgage, all of these accounts all over the place. And then you got the apps that are trying to, help you budget. Then you have the apps that are telling you what your credit score is. And so it becomes this complete disorganized mess. And it's very difficult to get organized because you're lacking that prioritization, because maybe, again, in the traditional world, you're only focusing on that rate of return versus that savings rate. So being completely disorganized is actually one of the easiest ones to fix. You definitely want to try to get it into account. There's tons of services out there, but get everything flowing into one account. I had another video about this as well. Get everything flowing into one account and then be paying yourself first. And that's really going to help you start to get organized inside your finances. And then that's going to help you, have that prioritization and then focus on rate and savings rate. Then the fourth major pitfall in traditional strategies is guessing the need. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with individuals and family members, and you ask them a simple question: hey, how much do you want to have in retirement? And they sit there and they think for a second and they go, I don't know, I'd be happy with $2 million or $1 million or 1.5 million or whatever that looks like. And the problem is that's just a guess, okay? Because the reality is they haven't done a very simple financial, calculation that says, okay, if I have 30 working years left, let's just say as an example, to get me to age 60, and I want to have $2 million when I'm there at age 60. Well, what you need to realize is $2 million in 30 years is going to spend more like $800,000 in today's dollars. Okay, so that big $2 million number really gets cut down by just assuming a 3% inflation rate. So when we start guessing the need of, you know what, I'd be happy with 2 million, I'd be happy with $1 million, I'd be happy with 3 million, that's not really your goal. So that kind of leads me to, I think, kind of a bonus pitfall is not having the goals. So I know I'm saying there's 4, but there's really a 5th one. And again, we'll just call it a bonus one, where if you don't know the goal, then it's gonna be really hard to do all of the other, to avoid the other pitfalls that are on top of that, right? So we really need to stop guessing what we think we're gonna want in the future and start putting some real metrics to it, because then if you know what your goals are, okay, so now you can start to build this back up and you can start to step over these pitfalls. So as an example, if you knew what your goals were that you wanted for sure to know how, you know, your money would spend in retirement, okay, you got your goal. If you know your goal, then you're definitely going to keep it. There's no longer, we're not going to have to guess what that need is. If we don't have to guess what the need is, then we're not going to be disorganized, because now everything's going to be centered around hitting this goal, right? If we're not disorganized, that means inadvertently we've automatically prioritized what's going to be the most important to us to get to that top result, which is a good balance of rate of return and the savings rate. So you really kind of want to deconstruct all those pitfalls, start at the bottom, just like you would build a house, and then begin to build that back up in a way that is right for you and your family. So there's really the 4 traditional pitfalls that most families, most clients that I work with fall into. So if you have none of that in place, definitely start with your goals and start working it up from there. If you have the goals and you've got some organization, but it's not, you think there might be room for something better, something more efficient, I'll leave a link above or below in this video. You can also just message me direct. But in that link, you can just get on my calendar, spend 30 minutes, and we'll just look at what you're going through, what you're trying to accomplish, and what your goals are. And then I can simply give you some strategies of something that you could work on to really make sure that you're being the most efficient with your money, with your income for you and your family as possible. So if you need any help, I'm here. Let me know. Get in touch with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.